UFC Fight Night, Luque versus those Anjos. Full card prediction. Make sure to smash like, make sure to subscribe, and yeah, we got some good fights here. The main event, we have a guy, and I'm not kidding you, the dude had something wrong with his brain, like a brain aneurysm or something really, really weird that I can't pronounce, where Jeff Neal did so much damage to Vicente Luque's brain that something really, really bad happened to it that, you know, like a third of people actually perished from. And Vicente Luque, how long ago was that against Jeff Neal? That was a year ago. 1 year later, the man is in a UFC main event from having something that could have potentially put him in the grave. And now he's taking on a former UFC champion, a guy that's beat other champions as well, has wins over Robbie Lawler, Donald Cerrone, Anthony Pettis, Nate Diaz, Benson Henderson, Cerrone again, and so many other beasts in the UFC's lightweight division, only losing recently to Khabib, to Eddie Alvarez, to Ferguson, to Covington, Usman, Edwards, Chiesa, and Fiziev. He's coming back that soon to take on one of the biggest legends of the UFC lightweight and welterweight division. It's crazy. I applaud him, but it might be a little bit risky there. It's a good fight. It is a good fight. We have Swanson, Dawodu, which is a banger. Daukaus, Rountree, very good fight. For women's MMA, this is also really solid. Iasmin, Lucindo, Polyana, Viana. I think that's a good fight. You got Nchukwi, AJ Dobson. Could be really, really good. Could be really, really boring. Depends on how these guys come out there and decide to make it. It really comes down to what they decide to do. They could easily make this fight of the night. They could easily make this the worst fight of the night. Could be good, could be bad. Jamie Pickett, Josh Fremd, it's a decent one. It's one of the lower level fights in the card, in my opinion. Marcus McGhee, JP Buys, that is fireworks at bantamweight, in my opinion. Terrance, McKinney, Mike Breeden, that's a banger. Francis Marshall, Isaac Dulgarian, It's an okay fight. It's not a bad fight. It's not a good fight. Martin Buday, Josh Parisian. Seems like a snooze fest. Jaqueline, Amorim, Montserrat, Ruiz. Could be fun. Could be fun. I don't think it'd be fight of the night, obviously, but it's like mid-tier on the card. Luana, Santos, Juliana, Miller. Could be fun as well. Kind of mid-tier as well, but I don't know why there's so many women's MMA fights on here. But they're all women's strawweight or women's flyweight, and they all have like grapplers on it. They got Juliana Miller, Luana Santos, Ruiz, Amorim, Polyana, Viana, Iasmin, Lucindo. All of these 6 girls are like grappling type of girls. And they're girls, yeah. It's a good card. I would say it's a little bit underrated, but there is still some fights on here I might go take a piss on. But whatever. We'll get into the full card prediction in 3, 2, 1. Oh, sorry. Damone Blackshear might get an opponent. He's scheduled on, he's still got his face on the ESPN thing, so it's still saying that they're trying to get a short notice opponent for Damone Blackshear on this UFC fight night, because Brady Houston had the staph infection and had to pull out. So we might get a 13th fight. So if that is the case and we do get that fight, just look it up, I guess. I'll do an early, or not an early prediction. I'll do a prediction for whoever Damone Blackshear ends up fighting. So just look up Damone Blackshear prediction, Bird MMA, search for the newest one, and I'll do a prediction on that one as well. That's if he does get an opponent. I don't know if he will. But first fight in the flyweight division, Juliana Miller, Luana Santos. In the women's flyweight division, very young, is Luana Santos, who lost to Jenna Bishop, but Jenna is very, very solid. And a really, really good jiu-jitsu girl, really good grappler and wrestler type of girl. In the women's flyweight division, she is very, very old, but she's really good. She's 5-0. As a professional mixed martial artist, I do believe, she should probably be the one inside the UFC at this point. She's got 2 submissions and a few decision wins as well. But you gotta look, every one of those wins, unanimous decision or rear nakeds. The Luana Santos one was really, really close and was a split decision. Luana made that very, very close. Now she's taking on a girl with 2 losses in her last 3, beating Brogan Walker in her UFC debut. Brogan is currently 0-2 in the UFC. She lost to Claire Guthrie who is not in the UFC, and she lost to Veronica Hardy, who is not that good. I'll just say that right now. She is submission or bust kind of thing. She's got good submissions off her back, and she just keeps on going from submission, over and 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 over again. But if you got a girl like Luana Santos who just does not get submitted, kind of has grappling to mix in there with Juliana Miller as well, she's not getting submitted by Juliana Miller in this fight. She's got better wrestling than Juliana Miller as well, and Juliana's striking really is not that good. She just pressures forward, kind of like Juliana Pena a little bit. At some of those moments, I don't really like Juliana Miller's striking. I'm not saying I'm a world-class striker or anything, but Juliana's really got to work on her striking. If it does stay on the feet, I do lean Luana to barely edge out a 29-28 split decision, but I think Luana will be smart enough to land some takedowns, defend submissions of Juliana, and just ground and pound. I don't expect this one to be super, super exciting, but I do believe, because of how tough Juliana Miller is, she's not getting finished here. She's not going to go out there and get TKO'd by Luana Santos here. I don't think Luana Santos has too many finishes of her own, too many knockouts of her own in her MMA career. A few submissions, good one in her last fight in a guillotine in round number 1. She's got the Kesama Gatema Leg Americana in round number 3 and round number 1, but those are all submissions. I don't think she's going to go out there and TKO Juliana Miller in this fight. She's too tough. So I think it goes all the way, and that's kind of what the betting odds are thinking as well. You probably get plus money on her to win by a decision, but it's an okay fight. Luana Santos, 29-28 decision. Montserrat Ruiz, Jaqueline Amorim, 30 years old, 28 years old, in the women's strawweight division. Height and reach, going to Jaqueline Amorim. Jaqueline's going to be the better jiu-jitsu girl. Montserrat's going to have the better cardio, going to have the better wrestling, going to have the better grappling, and all of that good stuff. Now, you see this. Minus 240 for Jaqueline Amorim. I disagree. I disagree 100%, okay? Montserrat Ruiz has some good cardio, in my opinion. Good ground and pound, good control, good takedowns as well. She's very, very good at just grabbing that headlock and getting you to the ground. I don't believe she's just going to go out there and absolutely dominate Jaqueline Amorim in this fight. But once it gets to round number 2, where we saw Jaqueline did really good in round 1 against Sam Hughes, where, you know, that's the only round she's ever been in before that was round number 1, as she was on a 6-fight unbeaten streak, undefeated with all round 1 submissions and 1 knockout in 10 seconds. Then she fought Sam Hughes, did really good in round 1, very dominant, almost got the submission. Then she gassed out really, really hard. Very, very, very hard. And fighting a girl like Montserrat, really good wrestling, good cardio, good grappling, and grappled. She got knocked out by Amanda Lemos. We've seen how good Amanda Lemos is. But we know how good the wrestling and the ground pound and the control of Montserrat Ruiz is. So for those reasons, I don't think she finishes Jaqueline Amorim in this fight. Jaqueline's a good jiu-jitsu girl. She'll shoot up submissions every now and then when she's in danger of getting finished. She's not getting submitted by Montserrat. If she were to get finished, it'd be a ground and pound TKO. But I think she survives. I don't think this is going to be a domination by any means, but it is an underdog pick and a big one at that. I'm very, very surprised at the odds. I would have thought minus 110, minus 110. I think this is a 50-50 fight in the UFC strawweight division. The last thing is, Montserrat has not fought in 2 years. So, you know, she could have been pregnant during that time. I don't know. She could have been smoking, drunk the whole 2 years. I don't really know what Montserrat Ruiz. I don't live with her. I don't train with her. I don't know exactly what Montserrat Ruiz has been doing during her 2-year layoff, but she had, you would think, right? You would think she had to have been getting better at this point. She withdrew from the Mallory Martin fight. It didn't say why, so I don't really know. I do have Montserrat Ruiz winning this fight by a 29-28 decision. I think Amorim gets really close on a submission in round number 1, just like her last fight. Gasses out a little bit, and Ruiz gets the takedowns and controls, and just land some little solid ground and pound shots on Jaqueline Amorim. in round 2 and round 3 en route to a second women's MMA 29-28 decision. Martin Buday and Josh Parisian in the heavyweight division. This is not going to be a good fight. We got Martin Buday, who's a clincher. Did that with Lorenzo Wood. Landed a lot of knees, a lot of body shots. Knees, over and over and over again. Was doing kind of the same thing with Chris Barnett. Was trying to do the same thing with Lucas Brzezinski. And did a lot of the same with Jake Collier as well. Kind of outstruck him as well. But he's not going out there looking for the finish. He's coming off 3 decisions in a row. And they just get better and better. It was from a technical decision, then a split decision, then a unanimous decision. So he's making them more dominant as the fight goes on, but not a very exciting guy. He's 31, same height, similar reach right there. Parisian, a very, very up and down guy. He loses a decision, he wins a decision. He loses a TKO in an absolute war. He wins a TKO in an absolute war. He loses a decision. I mean, logic would tell you he probably wins a decision now, but I don't think so. Martin Buday is a slightly better striker than Josh Parisian, and Martin Buday has shown where Josh Parisian is really, really good in the clinch. Martin Buday is also very, very good in the clinch and has good takedown defense. So I think this one stays on the feet. Maybe some wrestling and some clinching mixed up in there, but I think it'd be pretty even in that case. But on the feet at range, I think Martin Buday lands a little bit more volume and is the slightly better striker. Pretty low level, heavyweight MMA right here. Not going to be a fight of the night. One of my least looking forward to fights of the card. I do have Martin Buday by unanimous decision. Francis Marshall, Isaac Dulgarian in the featherweight division. Now, Isaac's been doing good recently. TKO on TJ Breeden. Arm triangle choke submission, another TKO submission, and then a TKO. A lot of finishes here from Isaac Dulgarian. As an amateur, round one, he's a finisher. His longest MMA fight was his first one in 2019, a rear naked in 3 minutes and 10 seconds. But none of the guys he's fighting are super, super good. None of them are super, super good. And the only guy that's got a decent record on his hands is a guy that is KO or bust as well. All of his fights are pretty much round number 1. He either gets a KO in round 1 or he gets KO'd in round number 1, and he's losing by KO to really not that good of guys as well. So Isaac Dulgarian, I don't know what to think. You haven't fought really any legit competition in your pro MMA career. This is a really big step up, in my opinion, in Francis Marshall, a guy that's never been finished and who has some good power in his hands as well. I think Isaac's going to go out there. Maybe he wins round number 1, maybe he doesn't. But I think round 2, round 3, Francis Marshall smashes him. So Francis just keeps coming forward. He's got good power in his hands, good pressure, good cardio, and he's got good wrestling as well. I think Isaac could mix in some wrestling here. Could land some good shots on Marshall as well. But I think cardio-wise, we haven't seen any of it from Isaac. His longest fight was 3 minutes. So just based off of that one, I think Marshall does better when it hits the later rounds. He's not finishing Francis Marshall. Francis is such a gosh dang tough guy. He's not going to go out there and finish him because he's just that much of an absolute freaking dog. So I got this one going all the way. And I do actually expect this one to be one of the better fights of the card. Both younger, up-and-coming guys in this featherweight division. I expect them to scrap. I expect them to throw down some takedowns, some scrambles mixed in. But I think that cardio and the UFC experience that Francis does have, I think he'll win round 2 and round 3. Regardless of what happens round 1. I think Isaac is one of those round 1 or bust type of guys. I think he might win round 1. But I don't think he wins round 2 or round number 3. Marshall he's a machine in those later rounds, in my opinion. Really starts to pick up on his opponent's tendencies and starts to land his combinations in those later rounds. So it should be a good one. I am looking forward to this one. Francis Marshall, 29-28 decision. Terrance McKinney, Mike Breeden in the UFC's lightweight division. I'm going to say it right now. Terrance McKinney, round number 1. TKO or submission. If he wants to take the fight down, he will. He's a better wrestler. He's a better grappler, better jiu-jitsu. I'm going to say it again. A better wrestler. He could easily go out there and take down Mike Breeden. I think Natan Levy even gotten some takedowns on him. Natan's a good grappler, good wrestler, but I think Terrance is a lot better than Natan Levy is as well. He's got more of a submission threat than Natan Levy, more power, so he can even land some ground and pound on Mike Breeden as well. I think if McKinney wants to go out there with that game plan, he easily could do so and take down Mike Breeden and TKO him on the ground or submit him on the ground. But even if it's on the feet, McKinney's got power, man. He hurt Eric Gonzalez on the feet. He was landing some good ones on Fares Diam as well. And dude, 4 first-round knockouts in like a minute or less, and all of them is absolutely crazy. Knocked out Matt Frevola in 7 freaking seconds. I do believe this is going to be a finish in round 1 or round 2. Dude, Terrance McKinney's not a guy that goes to a decision. All of his wins, all of his losses, all are finishes. Should be a really, really fun one in the UFC's lightweight division, but his last 2 wins are rear naked, so that's what I'm going to go with. He lands some big shots on the feet, stumbles Mike Breeden, shoots a double leg, gets the back, puts the hooks in, and cinches in a rear naked choke. Terrance McKinney, round 1, rear naked choke submission. I want to see what the odds are. The over-under. Over 1.5 is plus 220. It's exactly what I would expect. Terrance McKinney, round 1 submission. Marcus McGhee and JP Bays in the UFC bantamweight division. I'm going to say it right now. JP is not UFC caliber. Man got knocked out by Bruno Silva, who is legit. Got knocked down multiple times by Montel Jackson. Survived. He's also very legit. Then he got knocked out by Cody Durden. Now, these are all really, really solid guys. And now he's fighting another guy that has crazy power in his hands as well. He got knocked out by flyweight Bruno Silva, wrestler Cody Durden, and now he's fighting a guy that I think has gone to a decision once, or no, never. Never, win or lose, this guy does not go to a decision. I think this dude is going to knock out JP Bays in round number 1. Do believe JP will make it a worthwhile fight. He'll get rocked early, then he'll come back a little bit, land some good shots of his own. Marcos will rock him again. It'll be kind of like that Montel Jackson fight. But I do believe Marcus just keeps on landing, and then cracks him enough times where the ref is like, dude, this gotta end. Or end in this fight. Marcus McGhee, I do have him winning by TKO. I would say if JP is 27 right now, I think he should go back to the regional scene, build himself back up. He'll be at 6 losses after this one. 9-6 really is not that good of a record. I think he should build it back up to maybe 15-6, 16-6, and then we get him back in the UFC. He's got a lot of things to improve. He's been getting finished a lot in the UFC. Probably what's going to happen again. Marcus McGhee, TKO. Josh Fremd and Jamie Pickett in the middleweight division. I think Jamie is the better striker here, but he doesn't throw enough volume. I mean, he lost to Kyle Daukaus, got out wrestled and out grappled, and that's kind of what my prediction is going to be here for Josh Fremd. Is Josh is going to he's going to land some big shots on the feet. Jamie's going to counter him on the feet as well, and then like Kyle Daukaus did, close that distance, land the takedown, and submit Jamie Pickett in round number 1 or round number 2. Dennis was able to catch him and TKO him, but kind of like the Bo Nickel one, I see it going similar to that. Not as dominant, of course. I don't think he's just going to easily take him down and submit him. I know there was the groin strike and all of that type of stuff, but I think Josh Fremd should easily be able to go out there, keep it really, really even on the feet, not really expose his chin out there too much. Midway in around number 1, land the takedown, work on the gas thing and Jamie Pickett, ground upon him, work for that submission. I think Jamie survives round number 1. And then in round number 2, that's where I think Jamie's going to start to gas out a little bit, not a lot. But I think that's where Jamie's going to be like, oh, and make some wrong decisions. Once you get more tired, the later on as the fight goes, that is where you start making bad decisions. I think Jamie is going to give his back to Josh Fremd. Josh is going to capitalize on that position and either get the back and rear naked him or hop guillotine. He got a rear naked over Joel Bauman before joining the UFC, and he's got a guillotine recently. He's got good submissions. I think rear naked choke or guillotine. Josh Fremd in round number 2 after Jamie makes a bad decision. I think Josh will win round number 1. Jamie's going to outstrike him a little bit on the feet, but not by much. He's not that much of a better striker here, and that's where Josh will land the takedown and win the fight on the ground. Should be a good one in the middleweight division. Tafon, Nchukwi, AJ Dobson in the middleweight division. I am going to go AJ as the underdog at plus 120 to win by a decision. And I did say I think this one could be a really, really boring fight or an absolute banger in the middleweight division. The reason it'd be a banger is if they stand and trade and just start throwing bombs on the feet. I don't think that happened. AJ landed some good takedowns in his last few fights in the UFC. He's been having to train for good wrestlers recently in Malkun. So I think he'll have the wrestling advantage here over Tafon Nchukwi, a guy that got smashed by Junyon Park in that fight and got wrestled a little bit as well by Azamat Mirzakhanov. I do believe AJ is not going to dominate. But is going to make this a little bit of a clinch fest and then mix in some takedowns as well. Striking-wise, I believe it's a 50-50. But I think AJ keeps it really, really even on the feet. Very technical striking. Gets into that clinch position. Lands some, okay strikes to the body and things like that. Mixes in some takedowns of his own. I'm hoping this isn't what happened. I'm hoping that this one stays on the feet and they swing and they bang for 3 rounds. Maybe we get a TKO, but I don't believe that's gonna happen. I believe we're gonna get a lot of clinching, a lot of wrestling, because their contracts are on the line. They have to win this fight, being both of them 0-2 in their last 2 fights, and for Tafon Nchukwi being 2-3 in his last 5 in the UFC, and AJ 0-2 in the UFC. So they got to do something. They got to get a good win here, and yeah, we'll see what happens, but I do have AJ Dobson as the underdog. I want to see if the odds are still the same. Even bigger of an underdog. Plus 127, AJ Dobson by a decision. And the odds for this one to go to a decision, minus 140. So pretty 50-50 on going all the way. Iasmin Lucindo, Polyana Viana in the strawweight division. I do believe the counterpunching is going to be there from Iasmin Lucindo, and the wrestling is going to be there from Iasmin. Polyana's got good power in her hands and good submissions on the ground with the arm bars on Emily Whitmore and Mallory Martin, but I do believe Iasmin Lucindo is going to keep the striking really, really even. Have Polyana come forward, and Iasmin's just going to try countering her as she is coming in, making this a pretty even back and forth striking affair between Viana and Iasmin Lucindo. But it's women's MMA. Those close striking matches can go either way. So I think Iasmin will be smart about it. Even though she's only 21, she is very, very smart in her fights. I think she'll mix in the takedowns on Polyana Viana as well and make this a very, very close fight. I think the striking will be really even, but the takedowns and a little bit of ground and pound from Iasmin Lucindo will seal the deal. On the judges' scorecards, Polyana, she didn't get finished in her Tabitha Hichi fight. She did get submitted by Veronica Hardy, but that was like 4 years ago. And Tabitha is a much better wrestler and grappler than Iasmin Lucindo. I expect kind of what happened with Tabitha Ricci, but not as dominant here. For Iasmin Lucindo, decent fight. Could get some good scrambles and good wrestling and grappling. And if they do choose to strike, I don't think it'd be that good, that bad of a striking match either. In the women's strawweight division, I do lean Iasmin Lucindo by unanimous decision. Khalil Rountree and Chris Daukaus in the UFC light heavyweight division. I think Chris is just not going to be as fast as usual. He's used to winning, like Shamil Abdurakhimov, Alexei Olenek. He was used to using his speed to win those fights. Now he's at light heavyweight where they're all a bunch of good kickers. Like Khalil Rountree's Muay Thai, leg kicks, body kicks, jab 1-2. He's just got really good Muay Thai and kickboxing. Chris isn't really going to have that speed advantage, especially when he's just a boxer. He's not going out there to land head kicks or front kicks or spinning kicks. He's literally just going out there to box, kind of like he was doing in the heavyweight division, and that's going to leave him open to counters from Khalil, who's going to be on the back foot, looking to counter him with body kicks as he's coming in, chop the legs every time Chris pauses to kind of think of his next movement. Boom, leg kick from Khalil, maybe one of those oblique kicks and things like that. There's a lot of things Khalil can do in this fight to beat Chris as he is coming in. But a lot of people are saying KO. I don't really agree with that. I know Derek Lewis knocked him out, Curtis Blades able to knock him out, and then Jairzinho Rosenstruck. Rountree's not one of those guys knocking out everybody with chin shots. Maybe he goes out there and and is able to knock out Modestas Bukauskas to the side of the knee, or knock out a grappler. And Carl Roberson, who just does not have good striking, maybe he can do that. But he's not really the most powerful guy, in my opinion. He's got good knockouts, knocked out Gokhan Saki, Paul Craig, Daniel Jolly, and things like that. I got a weird feeling. I don't think he knocks out Chris Daukaus. I think this one goes all the way. Chris just tries to box for 3 straight rounds. Khalil counters on the outside and tries to kick for 3 straight rounds. Khalil's going to land more volume. He's going to counter Daukaus as he is coming in. I don't think Daukaus wins a round, though. I got Khalil Rountree by unanimous decision. He's faster, better kicks, better Muay Thai, better kickboxing. Khalil Rountree, unanimous decision. And I'll just say it one more time. He did not win against Dustin Jacoby. That was a robbery. Next one, Cub Swanson and Hakeem Dawodu. In the featherweight division, I do have Hakeem Dawodu to win this fight by a decision. He's just younger. He's faster. Power... I don't know, Cub still has good power. He knocked out Darren Elkins with a crazy shot. Was able to knock out Daniel Pineda, which was really nice. But those were a while ago. A year and a half and then 2.5 years ago. I don't know. Hakeem does have good power, but a lot of his wins are close decision wins in the UFC featherweight division. So you never know. You never know. Cub Swanson could have the power advantage. But like I was saying, speed, that does go Hakeem. Dawodu. Volume, I would say, is going to go Hakeem Dawodu. Size, I would also say Hakeem Dawodu would have the advantage in. But again, he's not a finisher. Decision on Trezano, Zubera, Julio. Pretty much all of the guys he's fought in the UFC, except for Yoshiniro Horii. That's the only guy he's finished, and that was with a minute left in round number 3. This is a guy who had 1 fight in the UFC, and that is it. And has only 1 of his losses coming by a decision to a guy with 12 losses. Hakeem Dawodu is not going to go out there and finish Cub Swanson in this fight. Even though Jonathan Martinez was able to and Giga Chikadze was able to, Hakeem Dawodu is not on the level of Giga. He's not on the level of Jonathan Martinez, in my opinion. It should be a good fight. I think Hakeem's going to outspeed Cub Swanson here, out-volume Cub Swanson here. And if Cub wants to win, I'd say go out there and try to wrestle. Julian got a takedown, had some good control, and ground and pound, used that, and was able to win at UFC 279. Movzar obviously was able to land those takedowns, and I don't think Cub's wrestling is really as bad as a lot of people think. So he could mix in some takedowns and maybe win a round, but overall, he's a little bit too old now. He's about to be 40. I think he should probably retire soon. If it's not this one, it should be the next one, at least. Before 40 years old, I would say. Maybe you put Cub on UFC 300 because he's such a legend. Put him versus another legend in the featherweight division. But as of right now, it's a bad matchup for him. A guy that's a lot faster, throws a lot more volume. And just more technical as well. I got Hakeem Dawodu, 29-28 decision. Rafael dos Anjos and Vicente Luque in the welterweight division. I am going to go the slight favorite, Rafael dos Anjos, to submit Vicente Luque in this fight. Now, Vicente lost the decision to Bilal Muhammad and got a TKO loss to Jeff Neal. That was his only TKO loss ever. But man, did he take a lot of damage in that one. He did get submitted twice a lot earlier in his MMA career. Very, very long time ago. I'm talking 10 years plus ago to Carlos Pereira. Very, very early in his career. Other than that, decision loss to the champ, Leon Edwards. Decision loss to top 7, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And decision to future title challenger, Bilal Muhammad. But like I said, the man took such a lot of damage against Jeff Neal in that fight. Like a lot of damage. And like I said earlier, he had something. I'm forgetting what happened. Vicente Luque brain. Like, this is not something he should... A brain hemorrhage. A brain bleed. His brain was bleeding after the loss to Jeff Neal. And I'm not saying Rafael dos Anjos is going to go out there and knock out Vicente Luque, but he was out striking Renato Moicano for most of that fight. He was landing some good shots on the feet and out striking a decent guy there in Renato Moicano for 5 straight rounds. This is also a 5-round fight. And I think if Rafael is able to do that and just push the pace on Vicente throughout 5 straight rounds, not even go out there with a Bilal Muhammad game plan of taking him down, smashing him on the ground, and dominating and controlling him there, but coming in with a game plan that, dude, Vicente's coming off a brain hemorrhage. I should probably try to see and test that brain of his and see if it really is in good condition. Because I think Rafael dos Anjos could just overwhelm Vicente Luque on the feet, get him so worried about all these strikes, laying a lot of volume on Vicente Luque, who I don't believe is going to come in there as his normal self. And then in round number 4, round number 5, then Rafael take it down. Once Vicente's taken so much damage in the strike, and then Rafael starts laying in the takedowns and grappling and really starts to mix in a possible arm triangle or a submission. He's coming off a Bryan Barberena easy submission win. This is not going to be an easy one by any means, but I do believe Rafael dos Anjos puts so much pressure on Vicente Luque early, mixes in some takedowns, works on the gas tank of Luque, who, when he did go 5 rounds, got dominated by Bilal Muhammad in those later rounds. I do believe dos Anjos will do a similar thing to Bilal, with a lot of pressure on the feet as well, and I do think Rafael dos Anjos is going to land one of those takedowns, get the back of Vicente Luque, and submit him with a rear naked in round number 3 or round number 4. That is the full card prediction for UFC Fight Night Luque versus dos Anjos. I got the slight favorite Rafael dos Anjos winning that one. Not a very big favorite by any means at -113. I got the -220 favorite in Hakeem Dawodu winning by a decision. The odds for that one to go all the way are pretty 50-50 on that. So you probably get plus money on Dawodu decision. I got Rountree by decision. You're probably getting plus money on that one to go all the way because it is plus 130 just for over 1.5 rounds. That is crazy. In my opinion, I got Iasmin Lucindo by a decision as well, and she's at -180. I got Martin Buday by a decision, -190. I got Josh Fremd by a round 2 submission, and he is at -192. Odds for that one to go all the way, I'm not too sure, but over 1.5 is at -150. We do have a slight favorite here in Luana Santos at -142. We got our first underdog of the card in AJ Dobson at +125. A slight underdog right there to win a slight decision. We got one of the biggest favorites, I think the biggest favorite of the card, in Marcus McGhee winning by TKO in round number 1 or in round number 2. Odds to go to a decision are not in their favor. It is plus money to go all the way. I got slight favorite, -150, Francis Marshall by a 29-28 decision. I got 2-1 underdog, plus 225. Montserrat Ruiz winning by a decision, and it is also plus money to go to a decision as well. And I do believe Terrance McKinney will win his fight as well on short notice by submission in round number 1, specifically a rear naked choke. So we got 2 underdogs. One is a slight underdog in AJ Dobson. One of them is a 2-1 underdog in Montserrat Ruiz. We got the McKinney finish, the Marshall decision, the McKee finish, the Luana Santos decision, the Josh Fremd finish, the Martin Buday decision, Iasmin Lucindo decision, Khalil Rountree decision, Hakeem Dawodu by a decision, and dos Anjos by submission. Those are the full card predictions. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.